Hello everyone, welcome to the channel Stories Beyond the Push. Today's story is very interesting, so let's dive in.
So there I was, standing outside her apartment building like an absolute idiot, holding a gas station rose that was already starting to wilt. February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. The worst possible timing in the history of terrible timing, but I couldn't wait another year. I just couldn't. My roommate Jake had told me I was insane. Dude, asking a girl out the day before Valentine's? That's like proposing at someone else's wedding. You just don't do it. But Jake didn't know Sophia the way I did. He didn't see how she tucked her hair behind her left ear when she was concentrating on her laptop at the library. He didn't know that she ordered her coffee with oat milk because regular milk made her stomach hurt, or that she had this tiny scar above her right eyebrow from when she fell off her bike in 3rd grade. I knew all of this because I'd been in love with her since sophomore year, and I was a coward who'd spent 2 entire years pretending to be just her friend. The rose was a mistake. I could see that now. It looked cheap under the flickering streetlight, the petals already browning at the edges. I should have just come empty-handed, or with coffee. Sophia loved coffee, but it was too late now because I could see her shadow moving behind the curtain of her 2nd-floor window, and my heart was doing this thing where it felt like it was trying to break through my rib cage. I texted her, "Hey, you awake?" 3 dots appeared immediately. "It's 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. I'm doing laundry and eating cereal for dinner. Living my best life. What's up? Can you come outside for a second?" The dots appeared and disappeared, appeared and disappeared, but my palms were sweating despite the cold. Then, "You're being weird. Are you okay? Just come outside. Please." 2 minutes felt like 2 hours. I paced back and forth on the sidewalk, probably looking like I was casing the place. Mrs. Chen from the 1st floor walked by with her tiny dog and gave me this look that said she was 2 seconds away from calling the cops. Then the door opened, and there she was. Sophia was wearing this oversized Northwestern sweatshirt that definitely wasn't hers, because Sophia went to DePaul, and her hair was up in this messy bun with a pencil stuck through it. She wasn't wearing makeup, and she had her glasses on instead of contacts. She looked perfect. "Ben? What are you doing here? You look like you're about to throw up." "I'm not going to throw up," I said, but which was a lie because my stomach was doing backflips. She crossed her arms, and I noticed she wasn't wearing shoes, just these thick wool socks with little penguins on them. "You made me come outside in February without shoes. This better be good." This was it. This was the moment. I'd practiced this 100 times in my bathroom mirror, in my car, during my morning runs. I had a whole speech planned about how she made every room brighter just by walking into it, about how her laugh sounded like the first day of summer, about how I couldn't imagine my future without her in it. But standing there, watching her shift her weight from foot to foot because the concrete was cold, all of that disappeared. "I need to ask you something, and I know the timing is terrible, and I know I'm probably going to ruin everything. Well, but I can't keep pretending anymore." Her expression changed. The teasing smile faded, and something else took its place, something I couldn't read. "Ben, what's going on?" "Tomorrow's Valentine's Day." I'm aware. The entire CVS turned into a pink and red explosion. Hard to miss. "Sophia, please. I'm trying to do something here." She bit her lip. That was her tell. She always bit her lip when she was nervous. "Okay, I'm listening." I held out the sad gas station rose. This is pathetic. I know it's pathetic. I bought it at the Shell station on Clark Street because I was too nervous to go to a real flower shop, because what if they asked who it was for, and I said your name out loud and jinxed the whole thing? She took the rose, and her fingers brushed mine. "Just for a second. just long enough to send electricity up my entire arm. I'm rambling, I said. I do that when I'm nervous. You know I do that. You always make fun of me for it. Ben. Sophia, will you be my Valentine? And I don't mean in the elementary school way where we exchange cards with cartoon characters on them. I mean, will you go on an actual date with me tomorrow night? Will you let me take you to dinner somewhere nicer than the Chipotle where we always study? Will you give me a chance to show you that I'm more than just your friend, who helps you move furniture and lets you vent about your terrible group project partners? The words came out in a rush, all running together. Nothing like the smooth speech I'd practiced. My face felt hot, despite the freezing temperature. A car drove by, its headlights sweeping across us, and for a moment I could see Sophia's face clearly. She was crying, but not sobbing or anything dramatic, just these quiet tears running down her cheeks, and my heart absolutely stopped. Oh God, Sophia, I'm sorry. Please don't cry. We can pretend this never happened. I'll leave right now. I'll transfer schools. I'll move to Canada. Ben, shut up. I shut up. She was looking down at the rose, turning it slowly in her hands. Do you remember last Valentine's Day? We were at Jake's party. I remembered. I'd spent the whole night watching her talk to some guy from her economics class, wanting to die. You made this joke, she continued, her voice soft. You said that Valentine's Day was a scam invented by greeting card companies, and that the only acceptable Valentine's gift was heart-shaped pizza, because at least then you could eat your feelings. I had said that. It was a defense mechanism, and a way to pretend I didn't care about the holiday, when really I was just devastated that I wasn't spending it with her. I thought about that joke for weeks afterward, Sophia said, and she finally looked up at me. Her eyes were red, but she was smiling, actually smiling. I kept thinking about how you're the only person who makes me laugh even when I'm sad. The only person who remembers that I hate regular milk. The only person who looks at me like I'm something special. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I've been waiting for you to ask me out for 8 months, Ben. 8 months. Do you know how many times I almost said something? How many times I wore my good jeans and actually did my makeup before study sessions, hoping that maybe today would be the day you'd notice me as more than a friend. Wait. What? What? She laughed, and it was watery and perfect. I like you, you absolute idiot. I've liked you since that night at Jake's party when you made that stupid pizza joke and then spent 20 minutes explaining the economic history of Valentine's Day because you'd gone down a Wikipedia rabbit hole. I thought, this is the weirdest, sweetest guy I've ever met, and I'm completely gone for him. I couldn't breathe. I literally forgot how to breathe. So yes, Ben. Yes, I'll be your Valentine. Yes, I'll go to dinner with you. Yes to all of it. I must have been staring at her like a complete moron because she laughed again and said, Are you going to say something, or should I go back inside before my feet freeze off? I'm taking you to Alinea, I blurted out. Her eyes went wide. Alinea? Ben. Oh, that's like the fanciest restaurant in Chicago. That's a 3 Michelin star place. You can't afford Alinea. I've been saving for 6 months. I have it all planned. Dinner at 7. And then I thought we could walk along the lake. And then there's this little jazz club in Lincoln Park that has live music on Valentine's Day. You've been planning this for 6 months? I told you, I'm a coward. It took me that long to work up the nerve. And she stepped closer. And suddenly we were standing so close I could see the little gold flecks in her eyes, could smell her shampoo, could feel the warmth of her breath in the cold air. Can I kiss you? I asked, and my voice came out barely above a whisper. I've been waiting for you to ask that too. So I kissed her, right there on the freezing sidewalk outside her apartment building, with the wilted gas station Rose crushed between us and Mrs. Chen, probably watching from her window. It was clumsy and perfect, and everything I'd imagined it would be for 2 years. When we pulled apart, Sophia was grinning. "So, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, I confirmed. "So, and I should probably warn you that I'm going to spend all day tomorrow freaking out about what to wear. You could show up in a trash bag, and you'd still be the most beautiful person in the restaurant." She laughed and hit my arm. "That's the corniest thing you've ever said." "I've got a whole night of corny planned. You have no idea. I can't wait." She kissed me again, quick and sweet, then stepped back toward her door. "Go home, Ben. Get some sleep. You look like you're about to pass out." "That's just my face when I'm happy." She rolled her eyes, but she was still smiling. "Good night, Ben. Good night, Sophia." I watched her go inside, watched the light in her window turn on, and then I just stood there like an idiot, grinning at nothing. My phone buzzed. A text from Sophia. "You're still standing outside like a creep, aren't you?" I looked up at her window and saw her waving. I waved back like the lovesick moron I was, and then finally walked back to my car. Jake was still awake when I got home, playing video games in the living room. "So, how'd it go?" "Did she laugh in your face? Did she call the cops?" She said yes. He paused his game and turned around. "Wait, seriously?" "She's been waiting for me to ask her out for 8 months. 8 months? Dude, you're both idiots." "I know." I collapsed on the couch next to him, still grinning like a maniac. "I'm taking her to Alinea tomorrow." "Alinea? That place where they paint dessert on the table or whatever? Fancy. It's Valentine's Day. I'm going all out." Jake shook his head. "You're whipped, and you haven't even been on the first date yet." "Completely whipped," I agreed. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept replaying the kiss over and over in my head, kept thinking about how her hand felt in mine, kept wondering if this was real, or if I was going to wake up and find out it was all a dream. At 3 a.m., my phone buzzed with another text from Sophia. "Can't sleep. Too excited. This is your fault." I texted back immediately. "Same. Worth it, though. Definitely worth it. Now go to sleep. You need to not look like a zombie tomorrow." "Yes, ma'am." "Good night, Ben." "Good night, Sophia." I finally fell asleep around 4 a.m. with my phone still in my hand, and when I woke up 6 hours later to my alarm, the first thing I did was check to make sure it had all really happened. The texts were still there. The memory of her lips on mine was still there. It was real. Valentine's Day. The day I'd been planning for 6 months. What, the day that was supposed to be perfect. I had no idea how wrong things were about to go. The day started off perfect. Too perfect, actually, which should have been my first clue that the universe was about to mess with me. I woke up early and went for a run, trying to burn off some of the nervous energy that had been building since last night. The Chicago streets were covered in this thin layer of frost that made everything look like a postcard. People were out buying last-minute flowers and chocolates, and for the first time in my life, I was one of those people who actually had someone to buy them for. I spent an hour at this fancy boutique on Michigan Avenue picking out flowers. Not roses, because Sophia always said roses were too obvious. And I ended up getting this bouquet of purple tulips mixed with white lilies because the florist said it meant perfect love, or something like that. It cost more than my grocery budget for a month, but I didn't care. Jake was eating cereal in the kitchen when I got back, and he took one look at the flowers and started laughing. "Dude, you look like you're about to propose, not go on a first date." "Shut up," I said, but I was grinning. "Seriously, though, you need to calm down. You're gonna give yourself a heart attack before you even get to the restaurant." He wasn't wrong. My hands were shaking as I tried to figure out what to wear. I must have tried on 6 different shirts before settling on this navy button-down that Sophia had once said brought out my eyes. Not that she'd remember saying that, but I remembered. At 5 p.m., my phone rang. Sophia's name flashed on the screen, and my stomach dropped. Nobody calls anymore. Calling meant something was wrong. "Hey," I answered, trying to keep my voice steady. "Ben." Her voice sounded weird, tight, like she was trying not to cry. "I need to tell you something, and I don't know how to say it." The bottom fell out of my world. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" "I'm fine. I'm not fine, but I'm not hurt or anything." She took a shaky breath. "My dad had a heart attack this morning." "Oh my God, Sophia." "He's stable now. He's at Northwestern Memorial. They did some kind of procedure and the doctors say he's gonna be okay. But," her voice cracked, "I'm so sorry, Ben. I can't do dinner tonight. I can't leave the hospital. I'm so sorry." "Hey, no, don't apologize. Your dad is way more important than some fancy restaurant. But you planned everything. You've been planning this for months. I don't care about the reservation, Sophia. I care about you. Is your mom there with you?" "Yeah, and my brother flew in from Denver. We're all just sitting here waiting." She let out this sad little laugh. "This is the worst Valentine's Day ever, isn't it?" "It doesn't matter. None of that matters. Do you want me to come to the hospital? I can be there in 20 minutes. "No, you don't have to do that. The waiting room is already crowded and—" "I'm coming," I said, already grabbing my keys. "Text me which floor." I hung up before she could argue. Jake looked up from his phone as I headed for the door. "Where are you going? I thought your reservation wasn't till 7. "Change of plans. Her dad's in the hospital." "Oh man, that's rough. You need anything?" "Can you call Alinea and cancel the reservation? Tell them it's a family emergency." "Yeah, of course. Hey, Ben." He stood up. "You're a good guy. You know that." I didn't feel like a good guy. I felt like an idiot who'd been so focused on planning the perfect date that I hadn't stopped to think about how life doesn't care about your plans. The drive to Northwestern Memorial took forever because of Valentine's Day traffic. Everyone was heading to fancy dinners and romantic dates, and I was white-knuckling the steering wheel, trying not to think about Sophia sitting in some depressing waiting room while her dad fought for his life. I found her on the cardiac floor, sitting in this uncomfortable plastic chair with her mom and a guy who must have been her brother. When she looked exhausted, her eyes were red from crying, and she was still wearing the yoga pants and hoodie she'd probably thrown on that morning. When she saw me walking down the hallway with the bouquet of tulips and lilies, she burst into tears. "You brought me flowers, to a hospital, on the worst day ever." "Well, yeah, they were already bought, and I figured you could probably use something nice to look at." I sat down next to her, and she immediately leaned into me, her head on my shoulder. "You're supposed to be at Alinea right now, eating fancy food I can't even pronounce." "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Her mom, a petite woman with Sophia's same dark hair, gave me this look that was half smile, half tears. "You must be Ben. Sophia talks about you constantly." "Mom," Sophia groaned, but she didn't lift her head from my shoulder. "What?" "It's true. Just last week she was going on and on about how you helped her study for her statistics exam, even though you'd already taken that class 2 years ago." "Mom, please stop talking." Her brother, whose name I learned was Marcus, shook my hand. "Thanks for coming, man. She's been stressed out of her mind all day." We sat there for 3 hours. 3 hours of terrible hospital coffee and vending machine snacks, and trying to distract Sophia by telling her stupid stories about Jake's latest disasters. Every time a doctor or nurse walked by, we all tensed up, waiting for news. Finally, around 9 p.m., a doctor came out. "Family of Richard Chen?" We all stood up at once. The doctor smiled. He's doing great. When the stent placement was successful, and he's awake and asking for his family. You can go see him now, but only 2 at a time. Sophia's mom started crying. Marcus hugged her, and Sophia grabbed my hand so tight I thought she might break my fingers. Go see your dad, I told her. I'll wait here. Come with me. Sophia, I'm not family. This should be you guys. Ben, please. I need you there. So I went. Her dad was propped up in bed, looking pale but alert. He had all these wires and monitors attached to him, but he managed a weak smile when we walked in. There's my girl, he said, and Sophia ran to hug him, careful not to disturb the IV in his arm. Dad, you scared me so bad. I scared myself too, honey, but I'm okay. The doctors say I'm too stubborn to die. He looked over at me. And who's this? Sophia pulled back, wiping her eyes. Dad, this is Ben, She looked at me, and even after everything that had happened today, she blushed. My boyfriend. It was the first time either of us had said it out loud, and hearing her call me her boyfriend made my heart do this stupid flip thing. Your boyfriend, huh? Her dad studied me with this intense look that made me want to run away. The one who brought you flowers in the middle of a crisis? Yes, sir. Good. A man who shows up is a man worth keeping. He settled back against his pillows. Though next Valentine's Day, maybe pick a restaurant that's not quite so expensive. Sophia told me about Alinea. That place costs more than my car payment. Dad! Sophia looked mortified. But I laughed because even in a hospital bed, her dad was looking out for her. And somehow, despite everything going wrong, despite the ruined plans and the canceled reservation and the hospital waiting room, I realized something. This was better than any fancy dinner could have been. 3 years later, I was standing in that same hospital waiting room, and my hands were shaking again. But this time, it wasn't because someone was sick. This time, it was because I had a ring in my pocket and absolutely no idea what I was doing. You look like you're gonna pass out, Marcus said, sitting down next to me. He'd become one of my best friends over the years, which was weird, but also kind of perfect. I might actually pass out. Dude, she's gonna say yes. You know she's gonna say yes. But what if she doesn't? What if she thinks it's too soon? What if... Ben, breathe. You've been together for 3 years. You literally spend every night at each other's apartments. Her dad asks you about football stats. My mom calls you her favorite son. It's not too soon. He was right. I knew he was right. But that didn't stop my brain from coming up with 1,000 ways this could go wrong. The plan was simple, sort of. Every year since that first Valentine's Day, Sophia and I came back to Northwestern Memorial to visit her dad. He'd made a full recovery, changed his diet, started exercising, and was healthier now than he'd been in years. But we still came every February 14th because it felt important, like coming full circle. This year, I'd arranged something special. The hospital had this rooftop garden that patients and families could use. It wasn't much, just some benches and plants and a view of the Chicago skyline. But it was quiet, private, perfect. I'd spent the last week decorating it with help from Marcus and Jake and Sophia's mom. White string lights everywhere, her favorite flowers, those purple tulips, in vases on every surface. A photographer hidden in the corner to capture the moment. All I had to do was get Sophia up there without her suspecting anything. She just texted, I said, checking my phone. She's parking now. Okay, game time. You got the ring? I patted my pocket for the 50th time. Got it. Speech ready? I think so. Maybe. I don't know. Marcus laughed and clapped me on the shoulder. You're gonna be fine. Just speak from the heart. That's all she wants. Sophia walked in 10 minutes later, wearing jeans and this burgundy sweater I'd bought her for Christmas. Her hair was down, and she wasn't wearing much makeup, and she looked absolutely beautiful. "Hey you," she said, kissing me. "Dad's already upstairs. He says he's feeling great and wants to know when we're gonna give him grandkids." "Your dad asked about grandkids?" "Oh, yeah. Apparently he and your mom have been talking. They have a whole timeline planned out." She rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. "Should we head up?" "Actually, I wanted to show you something first. They renovated the rooftop garden. It's supposed to be really nice now." "The rooftop? Ben, it's February. It's freezing." "I know, but just for a minute. Please?" She gave me this suspicious look. "You're being weird again." "I'm not being weird." "You're definitely being weird." You've got that same look you had 3 years ago when you showed up outside my apartment with that sad gas station rose. That rose was romantic. That rose was dying. But she was already heading toward the elevator. "Fine, 5 minutes. Then we're going to see my dad before he sends out a search party." The elevator ride felt like it took 1,000,000 years. Sophia was talking about her day, about some problem at work, about how she'd burned her lunch and had to eat vending machine chips. Normal stuff. Everyday stuff. The kind of stuff I wanted to hear for the rest of my life. When the elevator doors opened to the rooftop, she stopped talking. "Ben, what is this?" The lights were even prettier than I'd imagined. They turned the whole garden into something magical, like we'd stepped into a different world. The flowers were everywhere, and in the center of it all was a small table with champagne and 2 glasses. "Oh my God," Sophia whispered. "So here's the thing," I started, and my voice was already shaking. 3 years ago, I thought I had the perfect Valentine's Day planned. Fancy restaurant, perfect date, everything by the book. And then life happened, and all those plans went completely sideways." She turned to look at me, and there were already tears in her eyes. "But sitting in that waiting room with you, meeting your family, being there for you when you needed someone, that was better than any fancy dinner could have ever been. That was the moment I knew." "Knew what?" I got down on one knee, and she gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. "I knew that I wanted every Valentine's Day with you. The good ones and the bad ones, and the ones where everything goes wrong. I knew I wanted to be the person you call when you're scared, and the person who brings you flowers in hospitals, and the person who makes you laugh when you're doing laundry and eating cereal for dinner." I pulled out the ring. It wasn't huge or flashy, just a simple band with a small diamond, but it was perfect for her. "Sophia Chen, will you marry me?" She was full-on crying now, nodding her head before she could even get the words out. "Yes. Yes, of course, yes, you absolute idiot." I stood up and she threw her arms around me, and I slipped the ring onto her finger with shaking hands. It fit perfectly. "I love you so much," she said against my shoulder. "Even when you're being weird and suspicious and planning elaborate rooftop proposals. I love you too, even when you eat cereal for dinner and steal my hoodies." She pulled back and kissed me, and somewhere in the background, I heard the photographer's camera clicking, and I heard Marcus and her family coming out from wherever they'd been hiding, cheering and crying. But all I could focus on was Sophia, my best friend, my Valentine, my future wife. "You know what?" she said, grinning through her tears. "This is way better than Alinea. We never did make it to that reservation. We should go, for our anniversary or something. Or," I said, "we could just order heart-shaped pizza and call it a day." She laughed, that same perfect laugh I'd fallen in love with 3 years ago. "Ooh, heart-shaped pizza it is." Her dad appeared then, looking healthy and happy, with her mom and Marcus right behind him. "So I'm gonna be walking my daughter down the aisle, huh?" "If that's okay with you, sir." "Only if you stop calling me sir. You're gonna be family now. Call me Richard." Sophia's mom hugged both of us at once. "I knew it. I told Richard this was coming. The moment you showed up at the hospital with those flowers 3 years ago, I knew." We stayed on that rooftop for an hour, celebrating with champagne and sparkling cider and so much laughter. The Chicago skyline glittered around us, and the February cold didn't matter because we were all together. Later that night, back at Sophia's apartment, we laid on her couch with her hand held up so the ring caught the light. "I can't believe you proposed at the hospital," she said. "It felt right. That's where everything started." "You're such a sap. You're marrying this sap." "I know. Best decision I ever made." She turned to look at me. "You know what's crazy? If you hadn't shown up that night with that wilted rose, if you hadn't been brave enough to ask me out, none of this would have happened. Best terrible decision I ever made." She kissed me again, soft and sweet. "Happy Valentine's Day, Ben." "Happy Valentine's Day, future Mrs. Sophia." She groaned. "We need to work on your corny lines before the wedding." But she was smiling, and so was I. Because sometimes the best love stories don't start with perfect plans or fancy restaurants. Sometimes they start with gas station roses and hospital waiting rooms, and the courage to show up when it matters. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, they end with a rooftop proposal and a lifetime of heart-shaped pizzas.